In this video, we're going to talk about how to add a tail to the ball if you would like. So, what is a tail? Well, it's basically a list of shapes, or one way to do a tail anyway, is a list of shapes from previous positions of the ball. And so you just have to create an array list, or a list of objects, of shapes, that will store past positions, like the past 10 positions, or the past 20 positions. We're going to do 10. And make it look like the tail is fading out, we're going to use an alpha composite like we did with the particle class or the explosion class to add some transparency to the tail. So we need a couple things to do the tail. We're going to create, this is in the ball class obviously, we're going to create a private list of shape objects, and shape is a class of objects in Java that you can make use of. It's actually a parent class, and we're going to eventually add a subclass of shape objects called ellipse2D to the tail list. Then we're also going to have an alpha, so a private float. This is to keep track of the transparency, called alpha. And we're finally going to create a public final int called tail length, just to take away magic numbers, and we're going to say our tail is going to be 10 items long. So in the constructor we have to initialize these values, or initialize these objects. So tail is going to equal a new array list of shape objects, open and close parentheses, a call to the constructor of an array list object. Alpha is going to start actually at 0. And you have to, with float variables, you have to specify f just to make sure the data is formatted correctly. So then we're going to create two methods to deal with the tail. We're going to have one that's its job is to update the tail and to keep track of, to eliminate the end of the tail as it passes through, and to add a new tail object in the correct location. So public void update tail. And really this could be a private method because it's just meant to be used inside the tail class. So we're going to say if tail.size, if the size of our array list of shapes is greater than 0, we want to remove the first object. So tail.remove the first one that we added. So this is the end of the tail. Remove the shape at the end of the tail. And then we're going to say while tail.size is less than tail length, the desired length that we specified up above using the final integer, we're going to say tail.add new ellipse 2D dot double. This is just the way you add a circle object to the to this list, and we're going to say x. So add it at the ball's current position and size, and this should keep our tail of size 10. So there are 10 objects, 10 ellipses in our tail array list now, and we're removing the end of the tail each time we call update tail. So now let's just update the tail, tail in our update method. We also need to create a draw method for the tail. So this is going to be a little bit more involved because we want to do the alpha composite. I'll do we'll just draw it fully solid at first, and then I'll show you how to do the alpha composite. So we're going to create a method called public void draw tail that's going to take in our main graphics tool for the game. And we're just going to say, we're going to use an enhanced for loop for shape S, iterate over the list of objects called tail, and then we just want G2 to fill S. And now if we run our game already, we should see a fully dark gray tail. It's not going to have any transparency yet. We'll add the transparency in just a second. So it's not, oh, I didn't call draw tail, sorry. So let's go down into our draw method and say at the end of our draw method, draw tail. And we have to send it G2, the main graphics tool. And now if we run our game, you'll see that there is in fact a tail to our ball, but it looks kind of weird. It's just like a snake right now. So let's add some transparency. To add the transparency, you can use a very similar technique to what we used in the explosion class. So go into draw tail, and now we're going to create an alpha composite object called alcom, and we are going to then say we're going to just do a couple checks, because remember, alpha, the value of the float can only be from 0 to 1. So we're going to say if otherwise it'll crash. Nothing can be more than 100% transparent, and nothing can be less than 0% transparent. So if alpha is greater than 1, just set the value of alpha to 1. And if alpha is less than 0, set the value of alpha to 0, just to make sure our program doesn't crash. And then we want to say alcom equals alpha composite, and you have to just kind of memorize this, like dot get instance. And then the rule that you pass in is alpha composite dot src over. And then we have to give it the alpha value. And then at the end, after we fill the shape, we want to, oh no, we're not quite there yet. We need to set g2.setComposite alcom, set the composite to that value, and then fill the shape, and then we want to decrease the transparency. So alpha minus equals 1/10, so it's going to decrease in transparency by 1/10 each time. And then at the end, we just need to set back the value of alpha to 0. Oh, it shouldn't decrease, right? It should increase, sorry. Alpha, yeah, it should go up, because we're drawing the tail from the back to the front. And then at the end, we want to reset the value of alpha to 0, and say alcom, oh, I'll just copy this. Alcom equals new, because we want to set the graphics tool back to fully opaque, so the rest of the game can use it. Alright, and so now if we run this, so what we've done is we've created the new object that helps us deal with transparency. We have an alpha value that when its value is 1, the transparency will be fully opaque. And we just don't want it to ever go above 1 or below 0. And so here we say we want to create this new alpha composite object such that it can help our graphics tool set its transparency to the value of alpha. Then we fill a shape once we set the graphics tool. Then we increase, because we're drawing the tail in reverse order, we're starting at the end of the tail, so we're starting at like a 0% transparency. Then we increase the value of alpha by 1/10, so it gains like 1/10 of opacity, and then or 10% opacity. And then at the end, once we have fully drawn our tail, so this goes over each tail object, increasing the opacity each time through the loop. At the end, we reset it, so the next time we go, we'll start at 0 again, and then we reset the transparency of our G2 tool to 100%, 1F opacity. So let's see what this looks like. Yeah, nice little transparent tail. Now obviously you can tweak this if you'd like it to look differently, but and it could be kind of a part of a modifier. Maybe it only has a tail when the ball is going fast or something. You can decide how to do that. All right, so that is plenty for this video.